A lot of people say they don't make them like they used to, but apparently Nissan did not get the memo. Now that the Toyota Tacoma has been fully redesigned for 2024, the Nissan Frontier is the oldest new truck you can buy. It was updated in 2022, but the bones of this thing date back nearly 2 decades. And this new hardbody model pays tribute to a truck even older than that. It's based on the mid-level SV trim and is a tribute to the Nissan hardbodies of the 1980s and 90s. As with all Frontiers, it comes standard with a 310 horsepower V6 engine and a 9-speed automatic transmission. And the hardbody comes only as a short bed crew cab with a part-time 4x4 system that has a 2-speed transfer case. The hardbody package includes all-terrain tires on the 17-inch tri-spoke wheels, which were designed to look like a very iconic set that was available on the original hardbody. Also gets a metal rock rail, aluminum front skid plate, this tubular sport bar, black fender flares, mud flaps, black trim, and of course, its rad decal package. The hardbody edition is technically a $3,890 option on top of the SV, but Nissan's bundling it with a couple of other packages that brings the starting price to $45,710. Included in those add-ons is a feature that does seem appropriate for the hardbody because the original took its name from the fact that it had a double wall bed, which was unusual for cheap trucks at the time, while this one gets a spray-in bed liner. Also gets this rail attachment system with these sturdy cleats. Since the Frontier is such an old soul, it hasn't gone through the supersizing some of the other small trucks have. It still feels pretty cozy. But I'm a 6'1" scooch test where I see how I fit behind myself with the front seat set for me without scooching it forward. Actually does pretty much as well as any of the others. Although the seat back is posture perfect. Unfortunately, part of the reason I can fit back there is because the front seat doesn't slide as far back as I would like it. A little tight on leg room, could use a couple more inches. But the seats are very comfortable and supportive, both in the lumbar area and along the sides. Feels like it'd be pretty good off-road. I was test driving a Honda Ridgeline Trail Sport last week, and I'm glad that I did because it couldn't offer more of a contrast to this. That is, and basically feels like, an SUV with a bed, while this couldn't be more of a truck. And in all of the good ways. This definitely lives up to the hardbody name because it feels rock solid. But they still managed to crank up the refinement. Even in this off-road setup, it's pretty quiet on the highway. And this one is still packing plenty of modern electronics, a blind spot warning system, automatic emergency braking front and rear, and adaptive cruise control. One nearly extinct feature it does have, though, is hydraulically assisted steering instead of electrically assisted like most vehicles today have. You get used to it, but I wouldn't expect to do a lot of the old finger steering. And honestly, after a day off-roading, you could probably skip arm day at the gym. The trade-off is that you do get a great feel through the wheel, although that's something you usually hear sports car drivers pining about. This is a very capable off-roader, but it does have the standard Frontier suspension and about 9 inches of ground clearance. So if you want to get really extreme, you'll have to step up to the Frontier Pro 4X, which has different shocks and about an extra inch of clearance. I don't expect many people would be disappointed in what this can do though, and it's a nice template for customizing with your own off-road gear. It's also a nice little hauler. It can carry about 1,300 pounds of payload and tow a little over 6,000 pounds. And at 23 highway and 20 combined, the fuel economy is pretty good for this class, especially with 310 horsepower under the hood. I like the simplicity of the dashboard. It has lots of knobs and buttons. And while the infotainment system isn't the most up-to-date, it does have wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration. While the instrument cluster has a nice little configurable digital display that's got some good off-road information. I wish this had a little more legroom for me, but this is otherwise a lot of fun, kind of like an old school truck fantasy camp.